Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and I've been reading a horror book in Braille, and something bad is about to happen. I can just feel it. Now, thanks so much for clicking on my video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you stick around. If not for the funny jokes at the start of each video, then perhaps because I'm one of the few reviewers out there who can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Don't believe me? Then stick around and find out. Now then, today we're taking an early look at a game on Steam called Atomfall, developed and published by Rebellion, releasing now for $70 and in 3 days for $50, released not in early access, so what even is it anyway? Well, I have absolutely no idea. This is a weird one for me. Who are you? I have no idea. What are you doing here? I have no idea. What's your motivation? I have no idea. Like, legit, you start off randomly in a bunker with zero information. Now you're heading out into the world to, I don't know, shoot a bunch of people, I guess. So, as always, let's dive into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts, alright? So, the first positive point I'd like to talk about here is the graphics. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not the best, but they're still pretty damn good. I can say that because, yes, I actually have seen better. However, what really stood out to me here was the attention to detail and the contrasting colors. Just from when you first log into the game, you can legit start to see hints of how good the game looks, and honestly, it only gets better from there. Now, there is a bit of lacking detail on the guns themselves, as well as on your character's legs, but still, it looked really good, and that was a nice surprise because I legit wasn't expecting it. Also, you'll get to witness its graphics throughout the video, so keep watching and make sure to enjoy and really appreciate it. Next up for the positives is the stability. As far as I can tell, I didn't really notice any glitches, bugs, or anything else like that. The game actually ran really smooth, which was super nice, as it's not expected any longer with new games. But yeah, it never crashed, never froze, never even dropped frames. I mean, unless a bug happened with a character or an item that I didn't notice, there wasn't anything wrong with the game's stability, so hey, that's a big plus right there. Up next is the sound design. Now, the music, well, it's kind of absent here. I never really noticed it personally, but when I did notice it, it did sound pleasant enough as background music. Nothing amazing and nothing that wowed me, but still overall decent enough to not be called out for bad quality. As for the rest, it sounds pretty great. There's voice acting abound here, and so far every single person I've spoken to did an amazing job. Not once did someone sound cringy, forced, or out of place or anything odd like that. So the voice acting here is numerous and of high quality. The rest of the sound effects are pretty much the same. A bunch of random sound effects here and there, all sounding exactly like you want them to. Guns sounding like they actually got weight behind them. The sounds of flamethrowers have that elegant sound of whooshing fire. Like, just overall, the sound design here is top quality for sure. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the gameplay. Now, the gameplay is very interesting. I can't even really compare it to anything because it's very different. But then again, maybe it is similar to some things. I don't know. What I can say is that it is similar to games like maybe Bioshock or Alien Isolation. And if you've ever played either one of those games, then you're basically going to have a general idea of what the gameplay is like here. First person, where you can actually see your guy's legs. No real skills, but still skills. Like, you can't level up and boost your stealth, but there is a stealth that can be enhanced based on player skill. For instance, you have a heart rate meter, and if it's higher, it makes it harder to stealth, but it also makes it harder to shoot because you're swerving too much because you're breathing too heavy. If you aren't walking while crouched, it also makes it harder to stealth. Stuff like that. There's crafting in the game, and it really brings back some memories of older games. Like, you can collect a seemingly endless supply of random junk you happen to find laying about everywhere and just store it up your butthole to use later to craft bandages, poison bombs, or whatever else you unlock via random schematics you can find lying around. Then you've got the combat itself. It's incredibly hard, as everything kills you really fast if they've got guns. I played on recommended difficulty, but there are easier difficulties to make the game easier just in case you don't want to play it super hard, you just want to chill through the story, but not much of a story to chill through, so I don't know. The combat is interesting as it has melee and ranged, allowing you to use guns, bows and arrows, or whatever melee weapons you can find, a kick that can stun opponents, as well as the ability to throw any melee weapon that you currently have equipped on you. Ammo is scarce, so make sure to make every shot count and aim for the head. The saving grace here is that the enemies are like you. They are easy to die if you have a gun, so play the game carefully and don't run around like Skyrim and you might be okay. There's a takedown system for the stealth, wanted to make mention of that, as well as a metal detector to find buried treasure, a sort of hacking tool that you can use to redirect power at power nodes to unlock certain doors, and I could keep going, but that would take too long. Basically, there's a lot of stuff here that you can do that, again, makes it feel a lot like Alien Isolation. For instance, there's only certain places that can be accessed only once you collect certain tools that allow you to unlock that door or get in through here or whatever, and so on and so forth. Also, take note, lovers of the game Avowed, this is how you do an immersive experience. Notice how these people actually react when I point a gun at them? In Avowed, it doesn't happen. Just saying. Anyway, I'd like to think you have the gist of how it is now, plus watching this video, so let's move on. And I guess the last positive point that I'd like to talk about is the quality in the writing. Not the story itself, as I'll go into that a little bit later, but the actual writing and the dialogue is not bad. I was never in a conversation thinking how cringy it was or how stupid it sounded. No, it all actually kind of made sense and worked, and there's a lot of different writings around with a lot of different information and clues and hints and descriptors and whatever else. I mean, basically, overall, I didn't see a single thing wrong with the writing here, and everything made as much sense as it could in this fictional world. Alright, so those are the only things I could think of worth mentioning positively about the game. Now we gotta go into the negatives, but do me a favor first and consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me be able to put out more content like this to help you guys save money, and I'm trying really hard to get to 5,000 subs, which might not seem like a lot to a lot of people, but it's a lot to me and would be a huge milestone, so please consider doing that. Also, I started this channel to help the gaming community, but it's hard to do so when people miss my videos and end up wasting money and time on a bad game. So the solution to this is you just gotta hit that little bell notification button right down there below the video. It's gonna tell you when I post a new video, and that way you can save yourself some time and some money in the future. Alright, so now we're going to go into the negatives. Now, the first negative for me was the severe lack of direction. And when I say severe, I mean, holy crap, severe. Like, this game does not help you at all. And I absolutely hate games that don't give me any direction. Even in a lot of big other open world games, there's at least some sort of starting point arrow pointing you somewhere. Where it's like, you know, this is you, this is your overall goal, this is the general direction to go in. But now the rest is up to you. But here, nah. Here it's just, you wake up in a bunker. Now, good luck. Do whatever the fuck you want, I guess. I don't really understand it, but it gets even worse. I could maybe deal with that nonsense of being completely unknown and in a strange land trying to find my way around, right? Like, there's a way I could immerse myself in that particular instance and just play up the whole amnesia thing. I could legit get into that and get into that. But what really gets me is that there's no direction with quests. It took me almost 2 hours to finally find a quest that actually had a damn waypoint for me to follow. And up till then, I was randomly wandering around just collecting ammo junk and seeing if there was anything else to do without dying because literally everything attacks you in this game, and anything can kill you quickly. It was so damn frustrating not knowing where to go, or what to do, or if I'm going the right direction, or if I'm skipping a part of the game, or whatever. I spent most of my time aimlessly getting lost than actually experiencing anything legit in the game. It was infuriating, and I hate it when games do this. With a linear game, it's not as bad because, you know, it's linear, but in a massive open world like this, with tons of maps and tons of people and tons of quests and tons of characters, enemies, locations, and whatnot more, it was just completely overwhelming. Now, that might just be me, but I just hate directionless games. The next negative I want to point out here is the story. Now, originally, it starts off pretty interesting. It's basically like, I don't really know the specifics of where they are. We're in England, I think, so, you know, because everybody's British and they got English accents, so whatever. But, and they kind of have an idea where it's like, oh, you know, we're advancing technology in this area, but then the technology goes awry, and something, you know, now you're in a quarantine zone, so, like, it's kind of interesting. There's robots, and there's some kind of infection with zombie-like guys with blue eyes or something, but, like, overall, the story was kind of non-existent for me. Now, again, this might be because the game was severely lacking in direction, so maybe I didn't follow the story because the game didn't point me in the direction to go to follow the story, so I ended up randomly wandering around, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe I never experienced much of the story because the game had no direction to lead me in the direction of where the story frickin' was. But that's a problem in itself. But from what I experienced from the story, it's kind of confusing, a little convoluted. It's kind of creative, like it kind of is interesting. I wish I could have experienced it more. I wish there was more to it there. So it's a little bit disheartening in terms of the rest of the story and what may or may not be there. Even after this quest that I just recently finished, I'm still more confused, and I have more questions than I do answers than before, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I legit have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing in terms of story, direction, or anything. So that's another problem. But that's pretty much the only things I could really think of negatively to say about the game. Now, I didn't get too far into the game, but still, upon looking at it as far as I'm seeing right now, I'm not really seeing a whole lot else wrong with it. I mean, it's got great stability, good graphics, great sound, great gameplay, an interesting idea that's unique with good combat. I just wish it was, you know, looked upon more. The stealth is kind of crap though, but it could also have been my fault despite me doing what the game told me to do. So I don't know, maybe just don't try to do stealth in this game. I don't think it's that great. But regardless, other than that, and the fact that it has almost zero direction, I really couldn't think of anything else negatively to say that I felt worth mentioning. I do wish it had more roleplay aspects to it, like maybe levels, systems, persuasion, skills, lockpicking, and pickpocketing, because it doesn't have anything like that. But even so, it's definitely more of an action-adventure game and less of an RPG. I mean, you can't even customize your character. So if you understand that, then when going into the game and knowing what it is, then I think you're going to end up having a lot of fun. Now, if these devs could make a game twice this size and focus more on the RPG aspects instead of this kind of aspects, then that would finally be a game and a studio that could challenge Bethesda, like legitimately. I mean, hey, one can hope. But yeah, overall, I think that this was a great little game, totally worth its price tag, and definitely worth your time as long as you go into it not expecting it to be an RPG like I was. So yes, I recommend giving it a shot. I don't know if it's worth $70, but it's damn near close. So I can't even complain about the price tag even a little bit, which by the way, in 3 days, it's only going to be $50. Now that is actually probably underpricing it. In other words, this game is definitely worth your time, and it is definitely worth its asking price. There's just so much here in terms of content and quality that I hope you're getting the picture, and I hope you take the time to invest in this game. So yes, put it on wishlist and buy it in 3 days. Set an alarm, do something, or hell, if you got the extra 20 bucks, buy it now. It's totally worth it. But that's all the time I got for today, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.